Hey everybody, it's Romania Black. We are on episode 14 of Seraph of the Endless. Oh my gosh, last episode was crazy, alright? I went back and rewatched it today. What an exposition dump. What a jump into the second core. I've not seen the OP or ED really for this well, we've seen the ED, yeah. But not the OP yet. But yeah, there was a lot that happened in the last episode. Gurren is shady. The Hiragi family is shady. Shinya, I don't know if I should trust him or not. FERID is a diva still. Mika, something's wrong with him. It probably has something to do with him not consuming human blood for reasons that I'm sure have come up in this. And then Yu has resolved himself that he's going to help Mika. But slowly but surely. And it seems like Shinoa and the others are on board with it too. And it seems like Gurren's on board with it. But I'm like, Gurren is using Yu to get what he wants. And Yu's okay with that as long as he can be with Mika. And I'm like, dude, be careful what you wish for. Like, this guy, I don't trust Gurren at all. I like Gurren as a character because he's so interesting. But he's shady as hell. And I don't know how to feel about him. And I love Shinya, but he's shady as hell. It's like, And then FERID is just a diva, and he's grown on me. His divaness has. And then we haven't seen Cruel in the second core yet, but just things are being set in motion. And it's just like, it was just like the first core happened, setting up these characters, this world, something's amuck. And then the second core has just started off like, boom, let's get into it. And I'm like, okay, Seraph of the End, I'm with you now. I'm ready. But like I told y'all last episode, I have the Blu-ray now. Mwah. Last episode was so satisfying not having a lag. I'm not kidding. Episodes 9, 10, 11, and 12 were so painful because it just kept buffering, and I was like, and it'd be in the moment where something important would be happening, and I'm like, why? So having the Blu-ray is so nice, and I feel like the animation quality is a little bit better too, so win-win. But yeah, so thanks again, Patreon, for helping me get that Blu-ray. I love y'all. Thank you so much. But yeah, I'm ready for the OP. I've been told that I can watch it. It may have characters I don't know, but it's not super spoilery plot-wise, or it's context-less spoilers. I won't understand that it's a spoiler until it happens. And I'll be like, okay. And then the ED's pretty good too. So let's dive in, shall we? I'm pretty freaking excited. So we're going to start Seraph of the End, episode 14. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but we'll see. We'll hopefully see the title when it comes up here. But we're going to start that here. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let's go. So, this season, this second core, they're just like, let's get to it. Let's get down to business. They're not messing around. Oh, complicated connections. Okay. Yeah, complicated indeed. So, wow, this world, the vampires and the humans and these demons, the ties between them, it's all quite similar, isn't it? Isn't it just so similar? Isn't that funny? Interesting. Okay, interesting. Interesting indeed. All right. I'm very curious how this is going to go and what we're going to do with this. But we need to go back through this episode because I feel like we got quite a bit. This series, once they've hit the ground running, they're like, well, it is time to because before, like leading up to episode 10 and 11, the series was like, okay, well, when we do a training section, we're going to walk you through the training. We're going to talk about things. And here they're like, okay, no, you need to train. Let's just go do it now. Let's get it over with. Let's get to it. I have things to say about this calling on your demon inside of you. Yeah. Lend me your power, Ajuramaru. So, okay, the image that appears, the symbol that appears on Yu's face is very similar to old Daddy Hiragi, the main Hiragi guy, the leader. He has the same image on his face, but he's lost an eye and everything. So, I said in the last episode that I wondered if he was one that had been part of this experimentation and it backfired. And so he's like, well, screw that. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. But this whole thing about lending your blood to train and get the whole thing about sacrificing your blood to bond with your sword. Wow, that's exactly what the vampires do. That's exactly what the vampires do. So, I feel like, yeah, this is demon possession. And then Shinoa says, we're going to take it a step further. You cut yourself and say, drink my blood to your sword. And yeah, I'm glad Yu makes the connection. He's like, that sounds like a vampire. That sounds exactly like what they do. And Shinoa, who's so upbeat, she's like, well, there's a lot between the relations of demons and devils. So I'm guessing the vampires are the devils and the demons are what's inside the sword and otherwise. And when she said, would you like to hear about them? I'm like, yes, please. And then Kimizuki comes in and is like, no, that's for a more important episode down the road. I'm like, damn it, Kimizuki, I wanted to hear this backstory. We just need to know how it works. So yeah, what? So, okay, so my theory, and again, I don't want to know. I don't want spoilers. I'm assuming we're going to find out quite a bit in this season. If we're already 2 episodes into the second core and we found out this much, I'm assuming we're going to find out a lot more. My theory at this point, based on this episode, is, okay, well, you have vampires and humans both using swords and both having the humans have a contract with a demon, and when they cut themselves on the sword and say, drink my blood, it allows them to be temporarily possessed by that demon to use their ability. Okay. You have vampires who, when they cut their hands on the sword and say, drink my blood, it automatically activates that ability. It sounds like the same thing. My thing is, are the vampires like an evolutionary step above the humans where they have literally become the demon themselves? Is that it? Where they have become literally the demon themselves and they're drinking the human blood? Because it sounds like the demons, when they possess people, they're essentially using their blood and taking over their entire body. So I don't think it's that too far-fetched of a step to think the vampires are just like a merging of that they become the demon themselves. Because the demons inside both Kimizuki and you look like vampires. So if the vampires become a demon themselves that can use this sword as a weapon, I don't think that's too far-fetched, right? And then if you let it get out of control, when humans let it get out of control, they become a demon and it's all messed up and warped. And when vampires get out of control, they become the 4 Horsemen of John, which is like a messed up demon too. So there's clearly a connection there. The thing that the humans are doing is that the humans, it's like 2 bodies, whereas the vampire is 1 body. And so the 2 bodies, if they're at war with each other, and you has some kind of extra factor mixed in, which is this whole Seraph of the End that ties to like angels. We're getting angels involved now. It's all getting messed up and complicated. But I like that they talk about that they can't do 2 people at a time. And we see why. 1 person is enough. And if the demon gets out of control and the possession fails, you'll have to kill him. And that's why we came all the way out here. And so I'm assuming that maybe Shinoa's sister tried to gain possession of her demon and it overpowered her to the point where she had to do something. So then we have Yoichi. So the scope thing, I was like, man, before episode 13, he didn't have a scope. That's because he hadn't mastered his demon, right? But now he has. And that's like, I love the animation of like, it's the black with the line work and everything. I love it. And I love that he sees the 4 Horsemen of John and all of them, there's 5 of them all together. And they're like, oh, we'll help you, Yoichi. He's like, no, I got this. And then he like does a breath and says, shoot the enemies, Gekkoen, and protect everyone. And it's this big like bird. It's this bird with like a net. And they're like, wait, what? And it just shoots all of them at once. I'm like, hello. The animation was great. I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And yeah, he did it all on his own. And he's like, I love that he just runs up and is like, hey guys, look, I did the thing. And they're like, excuse me? He's like, I did it, everyone. And they're like, when did you manifest your demon? When did this happen? Shinoa, explain. I love it. He's like, Shinoa, explain all this. And she's like, I didn't give him training. His curse control ability was exceptionally high. Sorry, yeah, it goes back to the classroom where he wasn't affected by anything. He's always had this ability to control it from the start. He's just exceptionally talented. He did he mastered the manifestation on his own. He's like, well, I've been talking to my demon a lot before I go to sleep. A creepy sentiment in itself, by the way, the fact that he talks to this demon inside of him. I don't know. The fact that they all have demons inside of them and he talks to them in his sleep, it's a little bit concerning. And I know that demons probably have a different context in Japanese culture than Western culture, but it's just creepy. It really, and he's like, now I just can. Me and the demons became besties. And you was like, oh, I'll just become besties with Asamaru, and that's Ashuramaru, and that's what we'll do there. Yeah, and he's like, got it. I know what to do now. It's like you figures it out. He's like, oh, Yoichi became friends with his demon, so that's all I have to do. Easy peasy. And Kimizuki, for all his brains, doesn't get that. I like that you is Yu has surprisingly grown as a character over the course of this series so far. He started out being like such a hothead, and now you realize that whole hothead is just like a tsundere front. Like, he is actually a softie that is really compassionate and cares for his friends. He's just hiding behind that, Baka Yu front. So yeah, interesting. But yeah, so his eyes become red like they did with the Seraph thing, except the Seraph took it a step further. Everything's all related. Everything is all tying together in weird ways. And I'm so curious this season to see how we connect everything, right? That's the question. How are we going to connect everything? I also like how Kimizuki's demon is purple. It's the black line work with purple. Yoichi is black with green. Shinoa and Mitsuba both have the black with like orange. And then Yu has the red. And it almost looks like, I want to say Guren's is red too, perhaps red or purple, one of the two. But yeah, okay, we're going to have plenty of time to go through the OP, so no problems there. But yeah, let's go back to, we need to go back to the whole parent thing that popped up, because that's interesting. So they take Yu away, and they're basically, the whole job is to watch over him to make sure he doesn't lose control. And of course, as they say that, he starts to freak out. But yeah, so we established in the last episode that Yu was possibly part of this experiment where these people that were like connected to secret magic in this organization were possibly experimenting on orphans. So, but here, he's not an orphan yet. It's him with his parents. And they said, why would a child like this be born? And we don't see his mom. They say, we have to kill the Seraph of the end. So has Yu always been that from the start? And they say, devil, you're a devil's child, Yu. And Yu's like, wait, what? And I like that. We see Yu's father has like his same green eyes. And he kind of looks like Yu, but his hair is different. But he kind of has the same face as Yu. It's weird. We don't see the mom's face. And he's going to kill him. Let's go to a better place. Like, he was going to kill all of them. And he's like, wait, what? And then he runs away. And that's when he sees, like, all of the other kids dead from where FERID killed them all, right? And he gets stabbed. And there's also like black blood. There's the red blood of the human, but then there's also like black blood like from the 10% of him that's not human. Oh, interesting. And he said, you should have died here. And everyone died because you ran away. So that kind of goes two ways. It's like, is it talking about how he should have died back with his parents before he even met Mika and them? Or it also could be talking about how, because he ran away from FERID and them, the others ended up dying. Okay. And so, yeah, the demon, like, biting his throat, it's exactly, I'm going to take a picture of that. It's exactly like the vampires. So there is a connection. And I thought that maybe the demons and vampires were two separate entities. But now they seem more and more connected, especially the pointy ears, all of it. And Cruel has the same thing that Ajiramaru has. They're all connected. So I'm like, are the demon swords... I'm wondering if the demon swords are vampires that have been trapped within them and they're just taking on the humans as hosts to get out. Is that their way? Were they like sealed up? Were the demon swords, were the cursed gear, were these demon swords, the demons inside of them, just like vampires that were sealed up in these weapons, and they're trying to use the humans as hosts to manifest themselves and break free? And that's why they constantly try to take over the humans so that they can free themselves. Maybe that's the case. And the vampires are the demons before they were sealed in the swords to begin with. That's why we're going to talk about this a little bit more when we get to the whole council meeting with Cruel. FERID, oh my god. But yeah. But here's the thing, Ajiramaru. Yu has resolve. He's like, no, I made a promise to Mika and he needs me. And as long as Mika's in my life, you're not going to control me. And God, I know it's not subtext to me at this point. It's total context that Yu and Mika are like, they're together or they need to be together, because that whole hand holding where they like interlace the fingers. Come on now. I'm like, come on now. Don't give me hope. And he tells Jirimaru he wants to become her friend. And Jirimaru's like, never had a friend. I'm like, he takes a page from Yoichi. He's like, what's in it for me? If I give you my power, what's in it for me? And he's like, well, you won't be alone. I'll be with you. We'll become friends. And Jirimaru's like, okay. And I'm guessing that is where Gurren gets his control from, because if the Shinoa sister became the demon and loved him, then he's like, okay. Then he's like, fine, I'll be your friend. Isn't that what you wanted, was for me to show affection to you? And she's probably like, oh yeah. So I'm seeing a parallel maybe of how Gurren is in control of his sword by befriending it, just like what you was doing here. I could see how that maybe would work. That's making more sense now. And I like that here's the thing, is Jirimaru needs him to be alive, right? So when she goes to attack him, he just tosses the sword away, and she's like, oh no, I don't want, what are you doing? Why'd you stop? What are you doing? And he's like, I'm not fighting you. I don't want to hurt you. I want to be your friend. It's like the power of Nakama, baby. Talk no jutsu. He's like, could you save Mika with me? He's like, I need your help. And then, yeah, that whole friendship thing. Interesting. So yeah, we'll talk about this in Cruel's conversation with the council and the whole forbidden arts and everything. But I'm starting to think that the demon swords themselves they're vampires that were sealed up in the swords, and the humans are accessing them as weapons. And it's just vampires fighting vampires, demons fighting demons, former humans fighting former humans, the whole 9 yards. Everything's connected, right? It's all just one big shebang. Okay. And so they decided to do Kimizuki's training next week, and that's what we cut to. So, but here, I like you saying, thanks to you guys, I'm not alone anymore. He's like, I have a purpose. I'm going to save Mika, and I'm going to do it with you all helping me and guiding me. And Shinoa's like, what? And he's like, don't worry about it. And it's such a sad parallel, too, because Yu is so happy right now. He's got his friends. Everything's great. And then you cut to Mika, who's dealing with all this shit with Ferid and Cruel. And Mika's just like, I just want to find you. Like, Mika doesn't have friends on the other side. He doesn't have friends with Ferid and them. Mm-hmm. But yeah, because we cut to this council meeting. I want to say, I really like the way that I didn't understand. I thought they were just lanterns. And I was like, is Cruel just meeting with Ferid? That's odd. But no, they're like television, they're like telepathic television connectors. And they can all see Cruel in them. It's like it's like a Zoom meeting. This whole thing is a Zoom meeting. Everybody has their camera turned off. That's what this is. It's Cruel and Ferid having a Zoom meeting with the other vampire progenitors. And they all have their cameras turned off until it's convenient for them to turn it on to speak. That's amazing. Okay. And so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we have 12 looking in on here. And we have 13, 14 if you count Cruel and Ferid. So we established that Crowley was the 13th progenitor. So maybe there's 14 of them all together. There's 14 progenitors in the room. It seems like it might be. I'm going to guess 14 or 15. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so they're like, humans are defective items letting their desires run loose. And says taking part in the forbidden experiment. So, the forbidden experiment, I'm wondering if that is making contracts with the vampires that have been sealed in demon swords. Possibly. I'm just saying that the demons look a lot like vampires, so how are we to not assume that they're related? But whatever it is, the vampires consider it forbidden, but the humans are taking part in it. If you would watch this, you'll understand immediately. And so I like that Cruel's like, wait, what? I like she's just sitting there like, huh? And then Ferid brings up, he like snaps his fingers and Mika comes in and Cruel's like, I didn't ask for this. But here's the thing. This is the parallel. The Hiragi family is suspect of Gurren because they think Gurren is working with the vampires. And Mika has asked Gurren to help him Yu has asked him to help save Mika. And Gurren's like, okay. So, sus. The Hiragi family is suspicious of Gurren. Well, now Cruel is suspicious of Ferid because Ferid is using Mika, being like, and it's the thing where Yu asked Gurren to help him to save Mika. Mika has asked Ferid to help him save you, or Ferid's like, oh, Mika, I could help you save you if you just help me. It's like, it's all, Yep, it's all sus. And of course, Mika would want to show this because FERID's probably like, this will help. This will get us to help save your friend you. And Mika's like, okay. And Cruel's like, what's going on? And then they show all this thing happening with the Seraph of the End. And she's like, what? And Mika's like, if this helps save him, fine. And they're like, what was that? If they put that into practical use. And I love that FERID is like, that's right. FERID's like, I am the most dramatic bitch in this room. Let me show you what's up. Oh my God. Humans are finally succeeding in weaponizing the Seraph of the End. So if you as a Seraph of the End, he is basically this amalgamation of something together. And it deals with angels, deals with some kind of like divine presence, and wants to destroy all sinners. Whether that entails just humanity or vampires too, I don't know. But the humans are planning to weaponize it. And if that happens, then the vampires are in trouble. We have a serious situation. And they're like, but Queen Cruel put an end to the experiment in exterminating the Hyakuya sect. So, that's funny we bring that up, interestingly enough. And Cruel's like, well, shit. I stopped it 8 years ago. And they're like, I killed all the children carrying factors of the Seraph of the End with my own hands. And Mika's like, and I love that FERID looks back. FERID looks back at Mika being like, oh, your progenitor, see, she's really not on your side. She tried to kill. So the question is Mika a Seraph of the End? Was Mika one of the ones too that was experimented on? Or is it just you? And supposedly Cruel's like, I killed everybody that was like that. But she didn't because you got away. Okay. And Cruel's like, and FERID's like, see, Mika? Like, FERID is just trying to sow the seeds of discontent between all of them. I really like that shot of Mika being like, wait, what? Is that so you killed all the test subjects? Like, FERID is having the time of his life. And she's like, that's what I said. And it's like, but how's the research come this far? So, okay, Mika's probably not a Seraph of the End then. Mika is not. Because she would have known, right? She would have known if he was. So you was just one of them, but somehow you got away. And it wasn't her that killed the other kids. It was FERID. So interesting. Okay. How's the research come this far then? And then we have this guy show up. This guy looks like CL off of Black Butler. Like, what the heck? Or a Lois or one of them. Yeah, with his top hat, I'm assuming it's probably with Britain because he looks has like the Victorian look to him. There were any other organizations with research this advanced. So he is not in Japan. These are vampire progenitors from across the world. And this one is not in Japan right now. Interesting. So Cruel's in charge of all Japan. Curious. Cruel, if your management failed, this is a major liability issue for all of us. And I like that she's like, Lest Carr, are you picking a fight with me? For the record, I love Cruel's design. Her dress and everything, I love it. Her design is awesome. I don't mind replacing you to be the ruler of Japan. And she's like, don't push it, brat. So the vampires have been around a while because he says, we're only 200 years apart and I'm stronger than, and I'm assuming he says I'm stronger than you. So when she says brat, I'm assuming Cruel is stronger, but he or she, or it, is only 20 years, or them. It's like, what is the pronouns for Lest Carr? Let's do this. But what is the age? Like, how old is Cruel? Because if Cruel is 200 years older than Lest Carr, how old is Lest Carr? We need to do the math on this. Like, how long have these vampires been in existence? And why are they just now, 8 years ago, showing up, right? How is that a thing? Why just 8 years ago did they show up to enslave humanity if they've been around for hundreds and hundreds of years? What's the deal? We don't know that yet. Okay. And then now you two, anyway, it doesn't change the fact, that humans are succeeding in the weaponization, Queen Cruel. I like that FERID is, again, having the time of his life, just like pulling the strings, because FERID has always seemed to have wanted Cruel's power. And this is his chance to be like, he's the 7th progenitor, she's down the line. And he's like, he's just flaunting it in front of her and she can't do anything. You can tell she's just pissed. He's like, how will you handle all this development? And she's like, well, our basic stance won't change, you dunce. We'll send our main units to destroy the Japanese Imperial Demon Army. And he's like, I'm looking forward to see how that works for you. And she's like, ooh. And then, by the way, FERID Bathory, who's that young boy behind you? And he's like, funny, you should ask. And she's like, oh my God. Like, today is not Cruel's day. Today is not Cruel's day at all. And when they hang up the phone call, she's like a parent that's just like, what the fudge was that? Like, she's like, what are you trying to do? And she just, ooh, why did you bring Michaela in here? And that video you played? Are you conspiring against me? I love, she's, here's the funny thing. The Hiragi family is taking such an underhanded approach, like such a sneaky approach to finding out if Gurren's conspiring against them. They're like so sneaky, which is it's a very human thing to do. And with Cruel, she just comes right out and says it. She's like, are you being a traitor? Tell me now. Like, I kind of respect Cruel for like not trying to be sneaky. She's just like, no, speak up, bitch. And he's like, oh, you can't kill me, right? And FERID has her in this moment where he's like, if I die, the information I have might leak to the Progenitor Council. I may have set all this up. You don't know. FERID's such a diva. Oh my God. And she's just like, excuse me? For the record, I love Cruel's character. She's great. I love her character. And in this episode, she's just like, she also has the same little diamond things that Yurimaru has. I'm just saying. Connections. Of course, I'll be punished too if they find out I let you escape. So FERID's like, don't worry. He's like, if you try to hurt me, all this information may get out to the Progenitor Council. You may be put on the spot and be harmed. Whatevs. But he's like, they can't harm. He's like, I can't betray you, Cruel, because if they find out that I let you escape, I'll be punished. So we'll have to work together. Complicated connections, right? He's like, oh, hold on. Does that mean we're allies with shared secrets? Oh, I love it. And that look and when he puts his arm around Mika, he's like, hooray! And that look he gives her, he's like, take my hand, Cruel Tepes. Oh, and then Mika's like, ugh. He's like, just kidding. And he asked her that earlier. He's like, take my hand. He asked her that from the beginning. Uh-huh. And he says, be nice to me next time. What a bitch. And then, of course, she's pissed. And Mika's like, oh, hey. And she's like, not now, puppy. She's just like, I feel like she's treating Mika like the dog that peed on the couch, where she's like, I'm just mad right now. And wants to go off and just vent her frustration. And Mika's like, I'm just trying to help out you. And I've noticed that Mika's eyes are slitted. They're slitted in the OP, whereas everybody else is. So he's not entirely human anymore. He is definitely part vampire. I like there's that tiny detail. Oh my gosh. So then, yeah, we have the whole thing with Kimizuki. Kimizuki is struggling a bit more so than you. And the thing about Kimizuki is, Kimizuki, I think, is in a much different situation than you. Right? Because with Kimizuki, here's the thing with you. With you, he knows that Mika is safe. And he knows that Mika is capable of taking care of himself. And so it's just a matter of time until they formulate a plan to go save him. But Kimizuki is in a totally different boat. With Kimizuki, his sister is in a very fragile state. She is not necessarily safe. And he may not be able to save her. And so there's a lot of doubt with Kimizuki. So yeah, he's in a totally different headspace than you, but he ends up using you as inspiration. I like that the three of them use each other as inspiration. You draws inspiration from Yoichi, and then Kimizuki draws inspiration from you. It's very interesting. And I'm wondering if Yoichi drew inspiration from Kimizuki. That would be a cool little triangular thing. I also like the design of the demon, Kisekio. Kisekio, it looks like a fox kid. Looks like a fox child with the devil horns and the mint green hair. The mint green's a nice contrast with the pink. It's cool. But yeah, so it just, God, and this scene was so emotional. The part where we get the touch base on his friends, and the one friend looks a lot like you. The one friend looks exceedingly like you, which is very interesting. But they tell him they tell them that they have to get out of there. So it's curious. It seems like we're getting little bits and pieces of you and Kimizuki's backstory in this, where they're like, we gotta go, we gotta leave, right? We gotta leave town, and we can't take your sister with us because it's too much of a burden. And I wonder if this connects to reality, where they did say this to him and Kimizuki chose to stay behind instead of going with his friends. That seems to be what actually happened. There's just the demon presence adding that you have to kill the sister and that she wants to die. But I don't think she wants to die at all. But there is that temptation, right? There's that temptation where the demon's like, come on, isn't it hard? Isn't it hard to take care of your sister? Doesn't it get old? Doesn't it get old realizing that you probably won't save her and you're just wasting your time? What if you just put her out of her misery and then you'd be free? Like there's that part of that demon that tempts him. It's that temptation, right? And his friends do it too in this dream. But he ends up, and even the sister, like, as the demon tries to tempt him. And the sister that looks like the demon in that moment, the demon that takes over the sister, kind of looks like Azurumaru. The animation does just a little bit. And she tries to put the words in Kimizuki's head. And he's like, no, that's not what I'm thinking at all. And he's just trying to think of a way to protect her. But she tries to put that temptation of otherwise in there. Shiho Kimizuki, free yourself. But then our boy Kimizuki, he draws inspiration from you. And he's like, you would sacrifice himself to save his friends and to save his family. He's like, you is sacrificing so much to save someone that's not even blood related. They're family, but they're not even, biologically related. He's that much of a friend. He's like, I met this weird guy. Yeah, he insanely gets on my nerves and I hate him, right? But I love this. He says he'll risk his life to save his family, not by blood. And Kimizuki's like, I draw inspiration from that because I feel the same. That's like, he's an idiot. You is an idiot. I hate him. We're total opposites, but we have one thing in common. We have this unwavering loyalty towards our family. And I'm not going to let an idiot like that beat me. And we're related by blood. So if I have to kill you, I'd rather kill myself to save you than that. And the demon's like, no. And then he does. And that's how he beats the demon. He's like, it's over. And so I find it interesting how they deal with their demon. Kimizuki slashes the demon, and that's what gets it to cooperate by cutting it. And the demon's like, well, I'll be damned, right? But in you and Yoichi's case, they befriended the demon. They didn't harm it, right? So it's interesting to see how these people deal with their demons in different ways to control them. And yeah, the whole thing with the coffin, what? That seems like a big handicap, though, that he has to wait 9 seconds for it to work. That seems like a bit of a handicap. It wasn't like 10 seconds for the pills to take over. There's a connection there. Interesting. But I'm assuming that whenever the coffin does activate, it's probably stronger than usability. But it's the fact that you have to wait 9 seconds for it to work. I really love usability, like gathering all the swords around him, the 9 swords. Okay, is it 9 swords? Because he has the red glow. He says, fan out, Azura cannon. It's more than 9, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's more than that. Yeah, it's more swords than that. Okay, it's like a big fan. I love it. I love that it fits Azurumaru very well with the fans that you have to fight off. It's very cool. I like it. I like their abilities. And then, so I was like, wow, that's all it took, huh? But then Shinoa makes a little comment saying, this whole thing about activating your special abilities, your Bankai, as it would be, that's not something you should do right off the bat. That should take time. And the fact that Kimizuki and Yoichi and you have instantly been able to do it right after manifesting their demons is not normal. And Shinoa and Mitsuba being like, where did Gurren find these? How did he know they were coming? What's up with this? So we know that Yu has this 10% of inhumanness to him, and he's special because of it. But do Kimizuki and Yoichi as well, and they just don't know it yet? Is that what's going on? And they go to research it, and wouldn't you know it, somebody's deleted all the data on the 3 of them. all of their past histories are not accessible. Wow, imagine that. And they suspect that Gurren did it. They suspect Gurren went in and deleted all the information, which could be, but we don't know, right? They suspect that it's Gurren, and so I'm wondering if it's a red herring, if Gurren actually didn't do it, if it was Shinoa that did it. We don't know. Is Lieutenant Colonel going to fight the Army's upper members? And Shinoa says, I hope it's that simple. I hope that it's just that. Here's the thing. Yeah, Shinoa says, I hope that it's only that he wants to fight the upper ranks. That's it. It's not something more sinister involving Gurren teaming up with the vampires to destroy humanity. That's what I think Shinoa's afraid of, is that he's in human experimentation and war with vampires. Like, what is this leading to? I get the feeling something horrible is about to happen. Yeah, I get a bad feeling about this too, Shinoa. Something's amok, and I don't know how to feel about it. So not exactly a cliffhanger, but very ominous. Very ominous. Oh my gosh. This is a really good episode, but I'm so curious now, like what we going to be doing, Seraph of the End? What is this? What is happening? What are we doing? Okay. Sure thing. So, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? We don't know. But I'm really curious to see where this all goes. And to see, again, we don't know for sure if Gurren is... FERID is super sketch. And FERID knows that he can't take out Cruel yet. But it seems like FERID is setting things up that, if some of these other progenitors take out Cruel, then... what can we do? And FERID wants Mika to drink blood so badly to become a full-fledged vampire, but Mika's still holding out. We didn't have Mika have an episode this time around, so that's good. But, how interesting, right? I don't know, y'all. I'm pretty fascinated by all this, so I guess we'll see what happens. I guess we'll see what happens, won't we? So this episode was great, but I'm really curious to know your thoughts down below. Please no spoilers, but so yeah, I guess we'll find out. But in the meantime, I hope y'all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back next week with episode 15 of Seraph of the End. Bye.